But as we look to this ruling from the Supreme Court tomorrow on health care, Tyler Cowen, who is a right-wing libertarian-like economist from George Mason University, he writes at a blog called Marginal Revolution, and I saw this graph from, not graph, but this paragraph via Balloon Juice, which is a great blog, of course, read nearly daily. And Tyler Cowen is talking about the principles that libertarian and conservatives should have when it comes to regarding health care. And he lays out the 3 or 4 here. But the one that is, I think, most telling, remember, the Affordable Care Act, at least as it was set out, was to provide universal health care, which means health care for all Americans. It doesn't mean single payer. It doesn't mean administered by, it doesn't mean Medicare for all. It just means that everyone is covered. We are the only industrialized nation in the world that doesn't have some form of universal health care. And the Affordable Care Act will not achieve universality. It will come somewhat close. It's going to expand health care coverage for 13 million people off the bat. They're going to have health care. And the mandate, which, we've spoken about this in the past, but it's getting a little more attention, which is really, in essence, no genuine mandate in and of itself. There's no enforcement mechanism. We talked about that yesterday in the replay of that interview with Amanda Frost we did several months ago. But there really is no enforcement mechanism. There's a penalty that's imposed, but there's no real way to collect on that penalty. But be that as it may, this is very telling, and we heard Ron Paul when he got up there and he was talking about, well, you don't have health insurance, you don't have health insurance. I want to read this paragraph from Tyler Cowen because it's nice to see them being honest about it. But the real question is, do the American people, is this how the American people perceive what America is about? When we talk about American exceptionalism, is this what we're talking about? His number 2 principle that the right should embrace on health care is, quote, a rejection of healthcare egalitarianism, namely a recognition that the wealthy will purchase more and better health care than the poor. Trying to equalize healthcare consumption hurts the poor, since most feasible policies to do this take away cash from the poor, either directly or through the operation of tax incidents. Now, this is, I think, a fairly specious argument, but he's also equating, like, you lose a couple of dollars in cash theoretically because it comes out of the economy because of taxes, theoretically, but you get health care. But that's still, it hurts the poor. But then he says, we need to accept the principle that sometimes poor people will just die. We need to accept the principle that sometimes poor people will die just because they are poor. Some of you don't like the sound of that, but we already let the wealthy enjoy all sorts of other goods, most importantly status, which lengthens their lives, which the poor enjoy to a much lesser degree. We shouldn't screw up our healthcare institutions by being determined to fight inegalitarian principles for one very select set of factors which determine healthcare outcomes. What he's saying here is that it is better to have a healthcare system that will attract Saudi princes on occasion than one that improves the health and extends the lives of as many people as possible. Rich people already live longer because they live better lives. Let's not focus on the idea of providing the poor health care at the expense of anything else. And it's not just that there may be some other things that we like better. So, marginally speaking, we drive our cars and people die. A lot of people die in their cars, but we're not going to give up our cars. No, we have to embrace, accept the principle that sometimes poor people will die just because they are poor. That's the way to a better America. Unbelievable.
I mean, obviously, something like that is always going to happen, but doesn't mean you don't do anything about it.
No, it's not just a question of you don't do anything about it. You proactively embrace the fact that it happens. It's not we can't do anything about it. It's that specifically, this is the way it should be. Uneffing believable. But that's what they believe, and you got to give them credit for being honest about it.